Yo guys, welcome back. Today we're going to go over the best farming method to get tickets for our weekly Ancestor Mods from ETA. But today is the moment we have all been waiting for, an updated build guide for our queen, the hottest Descendant in all of Albion, the chill Dommy Mommy with the most cheeks, Hailey Scott. What a huge buff our girl has received, specifically with her new Transcendent mod, Cold Heart. This has turned her into a skill damage machine. So we're going to go over the build for ticket farming, then a build that absolutely slaps for mobbing, deletes purge with ease, and the new supermassive dungeon with her supermassive cannons. We are live on Twitch and we have Twitch drops, so come through for those paints. Link is going to be in the description. And we're about to hit 20K subs here on YouTube. So if you enjoy the content, please hit the subscribe button. It is greatly appreciated. And I appreciate all the support here on Twitch and on YouTube as well. With that out of the way, let's get into it. Before we get into the Hailey build, let me show you what I was talking about. So ETA now every week and 5 times a week, you will be able to come in here and get 5 of these Ancestor module loot boxes. You do not get to pick an Ancestor mod, you get a random one. So you're gonna need 1,500 tickets a week. I do suggest if you play the game a lot and you're into the game, you're going to want to do this. Ancestor modules are gonna end up becoming very, very important for builds in the future. So we are going to start out with the bossing build, specifically for the Abyss Colossus, so we can farm those tickets. And we're actually going to do 2 versions of the build. We're going to do the speedrun, drain your health version, and then we're going to do a more casual, you don't need to worry about draining your health. You just want to complete it. You don't really care about going too fast, but it's still going to be fast enough to make this a very good casual farm. So we're going to be starting out with the build that is contingent on draining our health. And this is going to be with conditional recharge. But first, our trigger mod is going to be Power Beyond. I apologize, my fat head is always in the way for this part. So conditional recharge is draining our health whenever we use a skill. And what that's going to be doing is helping us proc Life on the Edge when HP is 50% or lower. Skill critical hit damage is 59.7%. And this is also going to help us proc a mutant cell that we'll talk about when we get into our arcade tuning board. Now, for the rest of the build, typical Hailey will be using 4 crit mods here. So skill concentration, insight, emergency measures, and front lines. Then we have our 2 cooldown mods, MP conversion and nimble fingers. Focus on chill. We are not using focus on singular here because we're actually getting more damage out of just the raw skill power that we get here from spear and shield. When I tried focus on singular, I was hitting for 19 million. When I put in spear and shield, I was hitting it for 19.9. Now you can say, well, you're losing the cooldown. Yes, but for this setup, if we are thinking about doing this as a speed run, we're going to be able to get that cooldown in our Inversion Reinforcement. So we'll talk about that when we get there. So the arcade tuning board here for the speed running version of this. The important thing here, and they're both going to be the same totally. The difference is going to be our mutant cell, and that's because we're going to use singular damage conversion, which is contingent on us draining our health once again for the singular skill power boost ratio. Now for the more comfy mod setup, where you're still using Power Beyond here. The big difference is we're not draining our health, so no conditional recharge. So we're going to be getting rid of the mods that are contingent on us draining our health. We're going to be putting in hyper focus. So you need to crit on the boss to proc the skill critical hit damage with that. If you're not comfortable with even doing that, I would say simply just put in dangerous ambush in this slot. And then we have simply put on focus on singular here for more cooldown. It's a comfy build. We're not trying to speed run, get as much damage out as fast as possible. This is going to be better if you're trying to have a bit of a long-term fight. I should also mention that this is probably more of what you want to go with if you are public queuing. I do not suggest going into public queue and draining your health and being a nuisance to your team and laying on the ground and licking the floor. So please do not do that. Now, the arcade tuning board has not changed here besides our mutant cell. We're using arcade concentration because we're no longer draining our health and we can't use the other mutant cell. This simply procs off of using Hailey's 1. It's 100% uptime, so it is pretty good. All right, so let's go through the rest of the build, and everything's the same here between both. We're going to be using chill and singular reactor with additional tactic colossus and skill critical hit damage. And then for our components, we're using the Slayer set. We're going to be making sure we have our max HP cores, our defense cores, and then of course, please for me, please have your MP stats on all your pieces. And don't come back to me in the comments asking me why you're running out of MP. Please, please, please. Now, our Inversion Reinforcement, and something here is very, very important, and that is going to be RK Circulation Tactic. You want to make sure that we have this when hitting an enemy with a skill. Grants skill cooldown minus 24%. Like I said, we're dropping focus on singular for spear and shield. So this is going to be very, very important for this build to run correctly. And I'm going to show you how all that works once we're done here. And then finishing this set of nodes and getting this capstone is very, very good for the skill power. And then same for this, for the incoming damage modifier. Other than that, we're taking some MP gain here, which isn't as important if you're speed running, but if you're pub queuing or running the other build, this is something you're going to want to have on. And then this incoming damage modifier is very, very important for the rotation we're doing for the speed run style gameplay. And I would say even in general, if you're pub queuing, you're going to want to have this one on. Then for our weapon, well, what do you know? Frost Watcher, told you guys it was coming. Big thing here is just having fire rate and then trying to get as much crit. We're not really doing damage with this. We're using this to proc its unique ability. So when we look at that, when landing a critical hit on an enemy, this is going to use Cold Surveillance. Cold Surveillance is going to strip chill resistance from the boss, and then when hitting a weak point, we're going to get Sub-Zero Sensation, and this is going to up our chill skill power. So we want to hit a weak point, and we want to crit if possible. Luckily with Hailey, she adds so much crit to the weapons that this is very, very easy. Just make sure you have here better insight. Edging shot. Payout is very helpful as well. So if you're in a longer fight, you don't have to worry about reloading the gun, and you can keep proccing this as you need it. So let's go over some gameplay tips for fighting the boss. Of course, when we're in our spawn, we're going to want to use her 3 to start stacking the skill critical hit rate and critical hit damage. And same for our weapon, because we're going to want to crit with our Frost Watcher. So once he becomes unimmune, we're going to be hitting with Frost Watcher. And as soon as we see a crit here, we're going to then hit our 1 and then hit our 2. And hopefully we crit with this. And when we do, he will go into his down state. That's when you're going to come up. You're going to start hitting him with their 4, your 1, and then maybe you can use your 2 again. And then your 4 will be back just like that. And now we can get into the mobbing setup, which is actually really, really strong and really, really fun. So we're running Power Beyond once again. We are using Cold Heart. For our arcade tech here, I actually had a bit of a trouble finding something that was really useful. And then somebody in my chat, Lethal, put me on to Preemptive Strike. So we started using that, and I did like that very much. The other ultimate mods, I don't know. I couldn't find one that really was working out. If anybody has any ideas, let me know in the comments. Once again, we're running our 4 crit mods. We are running our 2 cooldown mods with MP Conversion and Nimble Fingers. Then we do have our 2 focus mods here with Focus on Chill and Focus on Singular. We are not using Spear and Shield because we want a lot of cooldown here. We just want to spam her 4, which I have another way we'll be able to do that when we get into the components. And then we're using Skill Expansion for the added bit of range. Now for a reactor, we're going with cooldown and skill critical hit damage, chill and singular, of course. Now, I was running the Brave Reset a lot last night when I was running Purge, and I really, really liked it because it's just 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. And I don't know, I just enjoyed that gameplay style. I don't know if it's really the best for damage, but I did like it the most for just the way I want to play the game. So I suggest trying the Brave Reset. Of course, max HP, defense, in your pieces. Make sure you have your MP. But there is going to be another option that you can try out, and it's going to be the 2-piece Plague with the 2-piece Hunter. And you want to make sure you're doing it like this to get the most out of this, to get the most HP for survivability when you do run this setup. So this is going to give you the skill cooldown, which is really nice, but this is also going to give you some singular skill power as well. Not really going to do too much in my opinion. Both ways work fine. I did prefer the Brave Reset though. Also to mention, the Brave Reset is going to make you very, very squishy, very low health here. So please keep that in mind. Now getting into our arcade tuning board, We're doing a bit of the split here because we want to go get defense neutralization. And then over here, we're getting RK concentration. And I did have 2 points left over. So we're able to put that in a little bit of HP, which for the bravery set is giving us about 1,000 extra HP, which is very, very nice. Now for our inversion reinforcement, we are running RK circulation tactic for the skill cooldown. It's always fantastic. Then we're running selective neural stimulation for the MP gain, and then deploy hardened shell for the incoming damage modifier, which is really, really nice. If you do want to use a sword with this, which we're going to go over the sword, just take one of these sword nodes, sword play enhancement mechanism, or one of the ones in the attribute tree. Now we will cover my sword. Good to have on. Also good for the end of the new dungeon for the boss specifically. And we are using the Deus Ex Manus. This is going to be the build that I am using. I did not really go back and fully optimize this. We're going to get to that in a later video with the new sword. I'll also bring in the other 2 swords and get them fully optimized as well. But this is what I've gone with for now. So take it with a grain of salt. But this is not really going to mess you too much up on mats. It's pretty much still all the same. We just got some new ultimate mods to play with. So I went with Snowflake Conductor. And that covers everything for this updated Hailey build guide. Any questions or suggestions about the builds, let me know in the comments. Like and subscribe is appreciated. Thanks, guys. Peace.